And about Harold Lloyd here. He obviously thought he could do almost anything. What a dangerous stunt is that? There was no CGI in those days. I didn't realise when I was doing all those things that I would enter the world of stunts, but I was always inspired by those films. I loved the Laurel and Hardy films. I loved the fact that those guys actually did their own stunts. I didn't realise, but all those years of climbing trees and mountains and messing around were kind of training me for a new career. I also didn't realise I'd be doing a bit of hanging around myself one day. My mum hates this slide. Can you imagine what my mum thinks of that? I keep trying to explain to her, but bless her, she's 83 and she doesn't like that at all. Fear comes in many shapes and sizes when you're doing stunt work. It comes in sort of packages. And being blown up is one of them. That's not excitement, that's probably terror. If you could see, it's quite grainy because it's a capture from video. But being blown with a huge explosion behind you can be quite interesting. But again, it's those small steps. I don't think you can go from nothing to jumping off a tall building and being set on fire. But you can if you do it in small steps. In fact, it's amazing what you can do if you'll take those steps and face that fear. You don't have to set yourself on fire, by the way. I'm not suggesting that any of you go out and set yourself on fire. There are other ways. If you're scared of fire, you could do a fire walk, where you walk barefoot on hot coals. I've done that too. That's fascinating. That really takes some courage too. It's different. My clock has stopped, by the way. I've got no clock on the monitor here, so I don't know how long I've got. Those stunts are particularly dangerous. One of those is for FHM magazine, the one on the right, because you can see that I've got no mask on my face. So you have to keep walking forwards so that the flames are behind you. If you stop, the flames will wrap round. They're hot enough to melt tin, so it would melt your face really, really quickly. They're very, very, very dangerous. And that is a push psychologically, to say the least, because it's on you and you can't get. You want to get away from fire, you want to run from it, but of course you can't. I love this. I thought this was a suitable quote to use here. Without inspiration, the best powers of the mind remain dormant. There is a fuel in us which needs to be ignited with sparks, or in this case, by a flamethrower. And you know, I'm not always inspired and just do things, and that's the point too. You've got to cut yourself some slack if you do need a little bit more than a spark to ignite your passion, to ignite the inspiration to take action. You know, if it takes a blowtorch, then maybe it takes a blowtorch. We do quite a lot of car stunts. I particularly would like to draw your attention to the bottom right picture of those two buff-coloured cars that are crashed. It's interesting how life takes you in strange places. I was asked by a company to do some crash test dummy work and to test some motor. It's a Norwegian company actually that make a breakaway motorway signpost pillar. So when cars hit it, a steel pillar nearly always ends in fatality or serious injuries. They've made pillars that break and collapse, and they'd never tried it with anything but a dummy, so they thought they'd use a human dummy. That was me. What a dummy. I said, I'll do it. I did quite a lot of research before I did it, I can assure you, and drove through at 100 kilometres an hour through one of these signposts, which is a tough thing, the signpost. It's heavy, it takes 3 men to lift it. So that took quite a lot of courage. But you know what's great about that? Most rewarding thing about that is this whole inspiration thing. I wanted to do this more than anything else because it was helping to save lives. Those tests encouraged the Highways Agency in the UK to buy more of these pillars and fit them in the UK, and I believe in Europe as well. I don't know if there are any here in Holland yet. I hope there are, because they definitely save lives. That's really nice, to do what you enjoy and save lives. There's another car stunt, flipping a car over. That's a psychologically interesting stunt. You have to push a button which is going to fire you into the air, and I can assure you the thumb doesn't want to move on the button. Last year, Dunlop asked a show that I'm the resident stunt driver for, our Channel 5's Fifth Gear in the UK, if they could do a stunt special, a whole 1 hour special show. Still got no, that's flicking, but it's not working. If they could do a 1 hour special show for them and do a stunt, and they asked me, could I drive around a loop? I don't know if you ever had a toy, thank you. I don't know if you ever had a toy called Hot Wheels here in Holland, in the Netherlands. It's a toy with a loop in it. You slide a car and it goes around the loop. They said, can you do it for real? We know a guy's done it in Lithuania with a small loop, but we want to build one 12 meters high. You can see that I'm standing next to that to give you an idea of the size of it, because with the car in, it's hard to tell how big it is. So we said, yeah. Now the problem with this was, this needed more than inspiration because you couldn't practice. Every stunt I do, you can practice. If it's a high fall, you can do it from lower down. You have to hit this at the right speed. Anyway, it's all on YouTube if you want to watch it. And its Discovery is showing it quite a bit. I think it was on last week, someone was saying. But basically, I got round it just about. And again, I thought this would be a really appropriate and positive little message here. What would we be in life if we had no courage to attempt anything? And I think that I've learnt to pronounce Vincent's name. I think it's Van Gogh. Was it right? Was it right? Thank you. High falls are another thing like fire that instigate primeval fear in stunts. There's not an easy way to do high falls. And I put this one in. This doesn't look like very much in this picture. It's a screen capture, but this is the most frightening thing I've ever done in my whole life. And I'm mentioning this for a specific reason, because I was on top of a building and I had to fall backwards in that position the whole way, almost 30 meters. And I was standing on the ledge of a building with concrete everywhere. The airbag I had looked about as big as a mobile phone from where I was. So just getting it a little bit wrong, just taking off at the wrong angle, because I couldn't see where I was going, would have meant hitting the concrete. And my legs were shaking at the top of that. And I had a little devil and a little angel saying, this is your job, this is what you've got to do, you've got to be trained, you've been trained to do this. A little devil saying, this is mad, you're going to die, don't do this. I really nearly said no at the last minute and let everybody down. I didn't in the end, I did it. It was very successful and I hit the bag right in the middle. But there was a lesson in that. And they say that psychologists years ago spent quite a lot of time studying people who parachute, because when we all stand on an edge and look over the edge, don't we? And we always imagine, as children and as adults, I think, what if I took that step? What would it be like? What would it feel like? And of course, in parachuting, you do take that step. So psychologically, there's something that goes on there. It's overcoming a barrier. That was the biggest barrier I'd overcome. And I wonder, had I not have done all those other things, whether I'd have followed through with that or not. Probably not, had I not have done all those things. So there is a learned behaviour thing. The more you do it, I think the easier it gets. That didn't feel very easy, I can assure you. Aerial stunts are great fun, especially on James Bond films. That was more fun than fear, I've got to admit. So there is some fun in it as well. And skydiving and abseiling from helicopters. The whole height things led to an abseil for the Guinness World Records 50th anniversary show in 2004. From London's Centre Point building, it's at the junction of Oxford Street and Tottenham Court Road, those of you that have been to London, I'm sure most of you know it. Great big building. And we did that to gain a world record, that was great. And I've had loads and loads of emails from kids who've been inspired by that. It's got so many hits on YouTube, one particular video in it. That's a screen capture from the show. I'm in the little circle there on my way down. But again, it's really satisfying to do something you enjoy and motivate other people and inspire other people. Nothing can stop a man with the right mental attitude from achieving his goal. Nothing on earth can help the man with the wrong mental attitude. Thomas Jefferson. I'd hate you to think this is all about physicality and doing extreme things, because it really isn't. It seems I've been inspired quite a lot by films. The film Shine, that some of you may have seen with Geoffrey Rush, beautifully portrayed the Australian pianist that lost his mind. Inspired me. I'd played guitar and saxophone and been a singer for a little while way back in life. If you wonder how I fitted all this in, by the way, it was concurrent activity. I was doing lots of different things overlaid at the same time. I wasn't doing them end to end, or I wouldn't have had time. And so I decided about 7 years ago to take the plunge. And I'd been doing what I tell other people not to do. I'd been putting it off. I love piano. I wanted to learn to play classical piano, and I never did it. I kept putting it off and putting it off, and I kept saying to people, whenever I heard something, oh, I'd love to play piano. Oh, I started, and I thought, hold on, I'm becoming one of these people. I'm becoming that guy. I'm becoming that guy. I'm looking at them and oh, I'd love to do that. And I still didn't get the motivation. So something didn't click. I watched this film, and it clicked. This was on a summer school last year. You can't hear it, thank goodness for you, because I haven't been playing that long. But it's very, very rewarding. So, it's right brain activity. One of the things I'd like to quickly speak to you about is something that I've been inspired by for quite a long time. And it's my latest project, a parachute jump from the edge of space. I found out about this 15 years ago. Couldn't find a way, couldn't find a spacesuit, couldn't find a way to get this done, but wanted to do it. It was a pipe dream. It's taken that long to distill through. That's what the Earth looks like from 40,000 meters, which is the height I hope to get to under a big gas balloon. And it hasn't been done since 1960. Now there's a race on. Someone else is trying to do it this year. That's what the balloon looks like. That's what it looked like in 1960. You see how small the people are there, to give you an indication of the size of that thing. And there it is on its way up. The gas that's in that balloon will expand 500 times by the time it gets to altitude, so it would look like a pumpkin when it gets to the top. And then when you're up there, it's time to step out. That's a model they've made in the US Air Force Museum of Colonel Joseph Kittinger, who did this in 1960 for the United States Air Force. That's him stepping off. That's a big, big, big step to take. So you can see there's been an evolutionary process here. They just keep getting crazier, some people would say. I've had to do quite a bit of training. This was a couple of years ago in Morocco, in the Atlas Mountains, doing some skydiving. And here, trying to find a spacesuit. That thing's no good. It weighs 300 pounds. It's got stainless steel fittings. That's a NASA suit, and this is at the company that makes the soft furnishings for the NASA suits. They helped me enormously by introducing me to a Russian guy. That's not this fella. Who made this lovely suit. I don't know why he chose that pink or fuchsia colour. Maybe wanted to be a little bit more in touch with my feminine side. Very kind of him. I tried the prototype on and it didn't fit me, so he built me another suit and he said, I'll make it look fantastic. I said, great, I'll just leave it with you. I'm sure it'll be great. And it came back half pink. Thank you, Nick. But and we're specially made parachutes as well. So most of the equipment's in place for this. Just trying to get the funding in place. And that's me test flying it in a wind tunnel, which is a nice safe environment to give it a try in. I think that inspiration is our lifeblood. It's the thing that makes us do what we do. It's the thing that gets us up in the morning. It's the thing that makes us take on the new job, to take the next step up the ladder, to try something else. I would like to encourage you, please, to seek inspiration. Look for inspiration wherever you find inspiration. In all areas of your life, in any area of your life. Please don't set yourselves on fire. But do something that you feel is different from the stuff that you normally do. Encourage your friends, encourage your children, encourage your colleagues to do something different and to step out of themselves and just see how much you grow by it. It's a phenomenal experience. I'm sure many of you have already done that, and I'm sure some of you have probably done just as much. But for those of you that haven't, and if you know anybody that hasn't, spread the word, because it's a wonderful thing. They say smile and spread a smile to other people. Spread some inspiration and encourage people to take a step forward. And it can enrich everybody's life. The most important thing then is seek that inspiration. And once you have it, don't let go of it. Take action. Actually get out there and do it. I hope I've inspired you today. You've been a fantastic audience. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.